Welcome to another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin, where we talk about getting into dental school, getting into residency, and then life as a new dentist. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Life after dental school, life after residency, life after 3 or 4 or 5 years of practicing dentistry. Today, we're joined with Dr. Patterson, live from Las Vegas. And we're going to be talking today about life after dental school, related to the idea and the aspirations that many of us have regarding having your own office, having your own business, owning your own dental office, and some tools, unfortunately, that we don't get in dental school that she has found to be very helpful in her journey as well. So, Doc, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, for many of those that are meeting you for the first time, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into dentistry as well.
Okay. So I am from Las Vegas, been here since I was 1 year old. My dad was military, so we were stationed here. And I mean, I've been here my entire life. I always wanted to be a dentist. I saw a dentist for the first time when I was 6 years old, and I had a ton of cavities. And it was an older man. I don't remember who it was, but it's this older dentist who came, and it was after I had my teeth cleaned. And he said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right. As they always do. And I was looking at the assistant or the hygienist, and I said, I want to be just like her. And he said, well, you can be just like me, and you can do everything that she does, and you can make more money. And there's not a lot of little Black girls who are doing it. And this was an older white man. And it just kind of stuck with me. And then through the years, I'm a kid, so wanted to be a cartoonist and a marine biologist and an architect and all those things, but I always came back to dentistry. And when I was in high school, I shadowed a dentist here in the city. And I was like, okay, I think I can do it. I applied for undergrad only at one school, UNC Chapel Hill. My parents were not happy because I was out of state, and I had a big ego back then, and was like, well, I'm a great student. Why wouldn't they want me? And I got deferred, and almost ended up at your school, Dr. Hayes. I applied to UVA, applied to, Penn State, got in, but I was holding out for Carolina because they had a great dental school. I'm a big basketball fan. They're Division I. It kind of ticked all the boxes. Was not in the same state as any of my parents, but close enough because my dad was in Virginia. So got to Carolina. This is about 1999, the 1900s for you kids out there. And graduated in 2003, degree in not biology, which I thought I was going to get my degree in biology, but I hated chemistry. And at Carolina, you have to have a minor in chemistry. And I was like, I can't do this for 4 years. So I applied to their hygiene program and got in right before my junior year. So my bachelor's is actually in dental hygiene. After that, I took a year to finish all my courses and to apply to dental school, and I accepted at UCSF. So UCSF class of 2008. So now I've been a dentist for 16 years, which seems crazy to me. But it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah. And for those of you that know anything about the ACC, our schools are rivals. So
Yes,
University of
they
Virginia
are.
and UNC,
Hmm.
in every way, sports. I've had some classmates from dental school, from medical school that I know went to UNC, and there's always a rivalry type conversation, no matter what, you know.
Well, at
Almost
least
to
you
the
didn't go to Duke. At least you didn't go to Duke, Dr.
well,
Hayes. And
that's
I
true.
don't know
That's true.
if this could be happening right
Yeah,
now if you went to Duke.
UNC and Duke is even worse. It's yeah, it's bad. It's
It's
bad. So
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. So I got some love for the UNC folks, so that's good. So that's why we're on this episode today. We got some love for one another, and we got some things we have in common, especially dentistry, right? And
Mhm.
our journeys through dentistry, and other people's that are listening, their journey through dentistry, because that
Mhm.
journey does not stop right after school. It actually it's just getting started, right?
Yeah, it just starts. Hmm.
Yeah. So share a little bit about these last 16 years and what it's been like, life after dental school, after residency,
Hmm.
because there are things about this journey, getting into dental school, getting through, getting out, and then
Hmm.
life as a new dentist, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or even 20 years. There's so much stuff that we still need to learn and experience. So share a little bit about what your experience has been like, and
Hmm.
what's been some of the challenges for you, not only as a Black dentist, but also as a Black woman dentist. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Darwin. Just want to take a quick break from this episode and hope that you are enjoying it. First thing I want to ask is, did you know that a large majority of the individuals like you who watch these episodes are not subscribed to the channel, to the YouTube channel? Nevertheless, we want to say thank you for watching and continuing to share these videos and episodes with others. Next, I want to say is subscribe. Yes, please hit the subscribe button so that you get these notifications each time these episodes are released. Last is I wanted to connect with those of you who are seeking to become an advanced dentist and specialist. And I invite you to our next event called the Get Into Dental Residency Challenge. This is a special 4-day event that will give you direct access to the mistakes that you want to avoid when you're applying to residency programs, and also the 8 steps that you also want to avoid so that you do not have an unsuccessful application submission. The information that we will be covering over those 4 days will be some of the tips and strategies that I teach in my one-on-one and group coaching trainings with clients who are continually and successfully being matched into and selected into high-profile residency programs here in North America. So if you're pursuing or aspiring to get into dental residency this application cycle, this challenge is for you. Check out the link below to receive more details and join the challenge. And also, I would encourage you to enroll in the challenge via the VIP experience. The VIP experience gives you actually access to a 1-hour Q&A session every day of the challenge before we actually get started with the challenge. And it guarantees me to answer your specific questions that you and other VIP experience members have on a daily basis. So I'll see you in the Get Into Dental Residency Challenge, and let's get back to this episode.
Hmm. Well, I think it started when I was even just applying for dental school. So, and I won't name names of certain dental schools, but I remember interviewing at some of these schools and taking a tour with some of their current students, white male students, who would always say, "Oh, well, you're getting in. You're going to fill a quota. You're going to get in."
Uh,
Kind of just, yes, on
Not
the
the quota.
interview tour, and saying things like, "Oh, well, you took my friend's spot," totally disregarding all the hard work that I had put in to get that interview. So I got a little taste of it, before I was even out. Um, when I was in dental school, there are some issues too with professors and, at my university, we had 80 students, 6 of us were Black, and we were all put in the same group, which was crazy. All put in the same group with a coach who didn't quite like us. So it was difficult. So I knew when I got out of school, if this was how it was in school, I knew there was going to be a lot of challenges out of school. So coming out, being a young dentist, no matter what, you just don't know what you don't know. And one of those things was I was an associate dentist, and I did not know how to negotiate like my fees, my rates. I was really happy to just be making money. And I was a hygienist through dental school, so I would come home and work during all my breaks. A lot of dental students were taking that money and going on vacations. I would just come home and work. And so my first dental job, I was the hygienist there I was making $42 an hour. And my peers in North Carolina, we had graduated the same thing. They were making $27 an hour. So I thought I was just the richest person in the world. And then when I got my dental license, when it came through, I switched over in that practice from a hygienist to the associate, completely taken advantage of. He upped my rate. I was getting $65 an hour. And I thought that was such a good thing, but this was a very high volume practice where if I was getting any percentage of my production, I would have been making so much more, but I didn't know what to ask for. So one of those things that, ask, if you're coming out, you need to ask people who have been through it what your worth should be, what you should be asking for. Don't settle. And I didn't have anybody kind of mentoring me at the time. So I've been an associate. My journey's a little different because I have been an associate for 16 years, but I started my own airway practice in 2017. So it's not your typical kind of story into ownership. I always knew I wanted to own, but I didn't necessarily want to own as a general dentist, if that makes sense. So when I found kind of my niche, which is sleep and airway, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to make the plunge. So my first practice in 2017 was called Tongue in Cheek Dental. And that was, all sleep and airway. What I learned is that you can't always go into business with just anybody. And my business partner was not the right person to go into business with. And it was like a divorce when the partnership didn't work out. Took me about a year to regroup. And then in 2019, I opened up Revive Orofacial Therapy and Wellness Center. So, it's been a different journey than most, but it's fulfilling, and it gives me a lot of flexibility because being an associate, I work a few days a week as an associate, and then I get to create whatever schedule I want for my own practice. So there's always that steady stream for my associateship because airway, I don't want to work full time. And so I kind of cater my schedule, the way that I want. So it's been a really good journey.
So basically you're part of two practices right now, or is it three?
Yes.
Two. The one that you most recently started in 2019, and then the office that you're an associate with as
Right.
well. Now,
Mm-hmm.
would you say even that is something that most new grads will not understand how to do or why to do it? Especially if they if they think that they're going to get or be part of a much larger practice where maybe they can buy into it, be a
Mm-hmm.
partner, and also opportunities where, like you said, pay me my worth. What am,
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm worth, and that's that. Well, which it sounds like you have experienced, um, what you think are worth is not necessarily what other people think, because
Mm-hmm.
they have their own value as to what their worth is, what their practice is worth,
Mm-hmm.
and what the practice is willing to pay an associate.
Right.
So it all comes down to agreements, right? It all comes down to also quantifying the value that you provide to the practice, or
Mm-hmm.
to the office, or to the business. And you're right, it sounds like this is another example where it has to be a good fit. Just like
Oh,
dental school,
yes.
just like a marriage, just like anything else, it has to be a good fit. And you may go through a couple of bad fits before you get a better fit,
Mm-hmm.
or
And there's a
before you,
honeymoon phase.
right,
There's also that honeymoon phase where, especially as an associate, people, they need you for whatever reason, right? So they're trying to woo you, oh, they'll promise you certain things where when you get in the door, oh, well, yeah, that will take that's going to take a couple more months, or we'll circle back on this. So there's also, you have to um, stand your ground on the things that you did talk about initially, because a lot of times that they think, well, she's not going to leave anytime soon, so we have time to kind of pull her along a little bit.
yeah,
So I've had to learn that in these 16 years, is that I need to stand my ground and not be afraid to leave a situation that doesn't work for me. And I have seen where there's associates or people who stay in these situations way too long, and they're miserable. Their staff is miserable, they're miserable. They hate dentistry, all of those things, because the situation is just not working. So I found when I'm in a good situation, I have more joy in dentistry.
right,
My patients
right.
are better, my staff is better. So it's very important to not stay in a bad situation.
You mentioned something that's a key point for new grads, and even as life as a dentist, which is contracts, right? A
Mhm,
contract as an associate, what you should expect, um, what you should know, what you should ask for, uh, the things that can happen even if they're written, and the things that will happen when they're not written, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
contracts, and here's the other thing, not every work opportunity or career opportunity that you enter into will even have a contract. There's some
mhm.
offices that don't even have contracts. It's just
Yeah,
kind of whatever happens, happens, which
yep.
I
It's
think
like the
we
wild,
both
wild
would
west.
say, yep. And I think we both would be like, no, that ain't gonna work. You can forget that,
Mhm,
you know. So talk a little bit about some things that people that are listening and watching should focus on, related to new opportunities, or maybe even their first opportunity, related
mhm,
to working in an office, whether it's a promise of practice partnership or ownership down the line, but more specifically, that operating contract which binds uh, you as an associate dentist, and it binds your actions and possibly your future.
mhm.
Talk about some key points that you, in your experience, feel um, need to be highlighted, and need to be focused on.
Well, in my experience, definitely the percentages. So are you getting a percentage of production, or are you getting a percentage of the collection? So I learned kind of the hard way that I will only accept percentage of production. And that's not production that is, for whatever reason, going to be deducted by insurance fees or contract insurance fees. I have like, this is what I charge for a crown. This is what I charge for a filling. And so when I do those things, that's my production. And not everybody is going to accept that. But for me, this is what my time is worth. And so when I was accepting collections, which I've only done actually one time, you're depending on the front desk, the management, to collect. They're not always good at their jobs.
And they don't work for you.
They don't work for you. They don't work for you. So I'm not going to depend on you for my money when I'm already, I've already done the work. I just want to get paid for what I produced. So that's a key point for me. Another key point is I will not accept those when you're compete, the non-compete clauses where it's a certain mileage away. Vegas is so small. There's when they say 5 miles, that's huge in Vegas. 5
Yeah,
miles is huge.
well, yeah, the restrictive, we're talking about the restrictive covenants that are typically in a lot of contracts where it states that if you leave my office or leave this office, you cannot work within a 5 or 6 or 10 or 15-mile radius of my zip code. If they're
For so
clever,
many
they may
years.
for so many years. Like, no, it's free competition, brother, sister. It's free competition.
Exactly.
And that's an important thing to look for in the contract. And like you said, Doc, maybe that's a thing where it's like, nope, no, I don't do restricted covenants. If I go, I go.
Yeah.
People want to follow me. I can't help that they want to follow me, even if I don't want them to follow me. Right? Because we
Exactly.
do have that as well, right?
All the
Um,
time.
now you said something about your percentage of production, and you said what you charge or what your fees are is, and you want a certain percentage of that. So two questions on that.
Yes.
What's that percentage range that new dentists should be looking at? And how do you come up with your own fees if you're working as an associate in someone else's office who has their own fees as well? How does that work?
So when I first started out, my percentage was closer to like 25% of production. And I think that's typical for new grads. But now that I'm 16 years out, I'm closer to 35% of production. And then when I say there's a certain amount that I charge per procedure, if you're in a practice that's not fee for service, that does accept insurance, then you have contracted rates. So I'm not the doctor who's going to do those procedures on patients who, for a crown, your contracted rate, and which is great, is like $350. I'm not doing it. This is, you know what I mean? Like, so there are certain, like I work for a DSO. And there are some doctors who will not accept certain insurances. And I'm one of those because the rate is just so ridiculously low. So my crown, like my crowns they have to be at least $800, at least $800. Then I will do that. But if that insurance rate is under that, then it's not going to work for me. And so when you are upfront with your employer about these things, there's no surprises. There's no like, okay, why are all of a sudden aren't you working on patients? No. We talked about this beforehand. So, but then there's other providers who are newer grads or people who don't care so much about that. They're like, okay, I'll just volume.
Yep.
And they'll work on patients with that. So there's I'm not saying that it's wrong to do it, but for me, after 16 years, I just know that I want to make a certain amount of money for a certain type of procedure.
Key point you just said, after 16 years,
Mhm.
right? So here's here's where this gets good, especially for those that are listening that have been practicing less than 16 months or even 3 years,
Right. Mhm.
which is you have the power because you have your own license. Let
Mhm.
me repeat, you have your own license, which also means you can dictate how you want to practice as well. Now, does that mean that every office that potentially is looking for associates like yourself or potential associate like yourself is going to agree with how you want to practice? Nope.
Mhm.
And that means it may not be a good fit, right? And you may come up, be confronted with many of those situations where practice or office after office
Mhm.
fees are production percentages are not what you want. They're less than 25 or 35%. The environment is such that it's just not a good look. But most
Mhm.
people won't know that unless
Right.
they have a mentor or they've talked to someone or they've done some training, right?
Yes.
They've done some additional CEs related to the business of dentistry. So
Mhm.
I want to segue there right now because
Okay.
that's key. Because one of the things that you talk about that quote unquote took you 16 years to kind of figure out to navigate is something that new grads need right now,
Mhm.
right? In a way that they're more informed, but also they're able to substantiate their value or at least go in with an understanding that they are valuable in a certain way. And it's okay if some offices don't agree with it. And you may
Mhm.
find that that's the case, which means you need to be able to know how to pivot into another direction, like having your own practice, having maybe renting a chair from someone where you can
Mhm.
have your own fees, being a quote unquote, not an associate, but being an independent contractor,
Oh yeah.
right? Where you're
Mhm.
able to have some more autonomy that you may not have working for a DSO or working
Mhm.
for not a private practice that needs you as an associate, but it's not willing to pay you what you think you need to be paid. So
Mhm.
let's segue to that because that's very key because there are, as we both know, there are new grads that are coming out that are very much strapped. Hands are strapped, pockets are strapped, and their
Oh yeah.
mindset is strapped, all based on the notion of I got to pay this debt off. I'm in 300,000, 400,000,
Mhm.
5, 6, 7, $800,000 in debt
Which
because
is
of
a
dental school,
shame. Which is
which
a
is a
shame.
shame, which is a
Mhm.
whole nother
Yeah.
episode
Yeah.
to talk about, right?
Mhm.
Um, so one of the things that a lot of people are thinking about is I got to make this money, I got to pay off this debt, and they're more focused on that than learning the game and implementing the game of the business of dentistry
Mhm.
immediately, which starts with you being an entrepreneur and being able to understand how the game is played so that you can call your own shots. And for many of us, that means having our own office, our own business, our
Mhm.
own practice in some shape or form. So, talk a little bit about the things that kind of pushed you and helped you make not only your list of own fees, what you'd be, what you're willing to accept as an associate if you are in that model for production, and the thoughts behind creating uh uh a sleep and airway practice where you that's like your niche, and
Mhm.
based on that, that is your own business while you're still doing something else. Just talk a little bit about that because that's key for people to understand that mindset and know that that is an option, and this is how you make that option a reality.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, it was a lot of trial and error, right? Seeing what would work, seeing what wouldn't work in terms of negotiations, because not everybody will say yes to the same things. So I had to stop thinking about, okay, what I think they would say yes to. I'm like, what is my bottom line? What will I absolutely not take? What will I take? So you have to know yourself. And that takes a little bit of time, especially right out of dental school. You have to know what you're willing to accept. And for me, right off the bat, I was working 6 days a week. I was making decent money. I thought that's the way I was going to go. And then I started having kids. And then I had to pivot, and it was okay to pivot because some people think that slowing down or whatever means failure, or changing things up means failure. It doesn't. So that's how I got into airway and having a little my own practice, because I wanted more control. I wanted more control over my schedule. And so about um, 5 years into dentistry, I was getting burnt out because I felt like I was working too much for too little. And I just had to change my mindset on, you know, what was going to make me happy. So that's how my first airway practice was kind of born, because I said, okay, airway and sleep make me happy. And making my own schedule makes me happy. Working close to home makes me happy. Earning a certain amount of money every month makes me happy. So how do I get there, and how do I maintain that? So, so it was born out of just knowing what I really wanted. And in those first days out of dental school, you might not know what you really want. Sometimes you just gotta try things. I was in the stage, this yes stage. I was saying yes to everything because I wanted to see where it would take me. And that's how I got into sleep and airway. I said yes to a pediatric office. It was a working interview, and I did not want to do peds. But I was like, let me just do this working interview. And then at that office, they were doing sleep and airway, and that's what led me to it. So, getting out of your comfort zone, trying new things that can lead you to what really makes you happy. But yeah, I come from a family, like, if you're not happy, you need to make a switch. There's no like, oh, see how it goes, work it out for years and years and years. No, no, no. You already know. Deep down, you know. So when you know, you need to leave and you need to make a change.
Yeah, and I think that's the foundation of our discussion, right? Change. Like things are changing for new dentists each and every year, especially as they're trying to figure out their next steps, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes they're doing it kind of blindly. Yeah, they may be looking at colleagues and seeing what they're doing, but just because you see what they're doing doesn't mean they're doing it the right way, or that they have the right mindset or the right resources to really figure it out in a way that's um, productive for them. And you said three things that caught my attention, which was get out of your comfort zone, get control, and know yourself first, right?
Mhm.
That comes with time, but it also comes from modeling what other people are doing. The
Mhm.
importance of networking, the importance of advancing your education as a dentist. Again, not just on the clinical side. We know how
Mhm.
that is much more of the emphasis, but on the business side. The business side. Talk a little bit about not only how continuing education, especially in airway and sleep, kind
Mhm.
of allows you to get out of your comfort zone, and by saying yes and being open to new things, but also how CE helped you develop your business, right? Your niche,
Mhm.
and how that kind of shaped you to what you're doing now and uh, um, what you want to create for others so they have the proper
Mhm.
information, mindset, and steps so they're not confronted with the things that many of us have been confronted with the first 15, 16 years of our careers. So talk
Right,
a little bit
right.
more about the importance of CE and some resources that have been helpful for you and that you're been creating so that you can kind of pass the baton, but
Mhm.
also pat on the back and uplift and empower others as well.
So without CE, I, there's no way most of us would be able to be doing airway because I did not learn any of this in dental school. It just kind of wasn't a thing in 2008 at my school, at my program. So I stumbled upon airway in 2016 through going to that pediatric office. And then I just started doing research. Okay, so where can I start? What's going on? So myofunctional therapy, I learned about that. I got certified. I took so many courses, tongue release, frenectomy, um, just appliances, sleep and airway appliances. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money learning these things, but it's so worthwhile because I have this niche. I have a different set of tools to help my patients. And a lot of people don't know about, the things that I know because I took the time to invest in learning them. And, what I would like to do for others is not have them have to try out so many different courses because they just don't know which course to take. Or which is for sleep and air rate, there's a ton of courses, but not all courses are built the same. So there was still a lot of trial and error on which courses to do and a lot of time and money spent. But I eventually got to the right courses and learned the right things. But what I would love to do and what I'm trying to do right now is eliminate all of that trial and error for dentists. You know, there's two other female dentists that I partnered with, Dr. Allison Scott and Dr. Trudy Reese. And, we have a lot of years of e- of education, of information for dentists. And we're all practice owners. Trudy's here in Las Vegas and Allison's in Houston. And, we've all learned from each other on the do's and the don'ts and what we would have wanted to know coming out of school. And so we decided to kind of put together a course, but we wanted to be kind of specific for female dentists because we do face different challenges. And even in CE courses, it's nice to be around other females and pick their brains and have open conversations, which sometimes we don't have when our male counterparts are around. So we wanted to sort of make it a safe space, but we've developed a series of courses that help the new dentist start a practice and also help the associate who wants to dive into practice ownership. So we've created these virtual courses over the fall, the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, and in hopes that if you take this course, you don't have to do all of this trial and error on your own, and you're going to be a part of a network at that point, a network of other, kind of like-minded dentists who will support you. So it's a sort of a two for one. You get the mentorship and you get the information.
Mentorship, new information or new ways of thinking out the box as a new solution to an ongoing challenge and
Mhm.
practice, right? how to become a dental entrepreneur where there's no entrepreneurship taught to us,
Hmm.
right? That's the
Yeah.
challenge. That's the
Yeah.
challenge. What's the name of the CE series that you all started?
Oh, how to create your startup. And it's from Breakaway Global Breakaway Global Masterclass. And that's just the first kind of start that we're going to do. All your paperwork, all of your hiring, all of, what companies to choose for your instruments. I mean, there all of those things that a new grad doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then the course will also cover where to buy your practice, the location, what technology to invest in, marketing, branding, sort of A to Z for your startup. So that's kind of what we are hoping, that it's your one-stop shop. And we've have people in the industry teaching all those courses who have expertise in those courses, who have several offices, who have done, the trial and error themselves, and now they're just kind of passing their knowledge on to you.
Now, is this only going to be exclusively for those women dentists that know that they want to be practice or owners, or does it also have the ability to nurture
Mhm.
that potential desire, aspiration as well? Because again, what's on a lot of people's mind, men, women, all dental grads, these first 5 years is this debt.
Yeah.
And they not necessarily thinking about practice ownership only because they also know that practice ownership costs money.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. So I'm just curious as to I want you, if you could just share just some more details about the CE series for making sure that just sharing whether or not it's for others besides those that are definitely certain that they want to become
Hmm.
business owners. Will there also be parts of the CE course that talks more about how to think out of the box, right? How to still be an associate but also have a niche where you have maybe an opportunity where you can have your own business, but not maybe to the full extent of it being 100% a
Hmm.
full blown practice, maybe something similar to maybe how
Yeah.
you started off as well. Like,
Hmm.
will there be some gradients with regards to that in the program?
So it's designed to give the full picture, right? Like the full picture of, practice ownership, brick and mortar office, but you can peel out with all the information, things that re- pertain to you. So it's not an all or nothing. It's if you want to just get better at marketing or branding, if you want to perhaps think in the future, oh, I'm thinking about being a practice owner, but I really don't know where I would even do it. So that then we're talking about location and real estate. You can peel out whatever you want from this course, but it's it will cover everything. It doesn't mean you have to do everything, but it will cover everything.
Got you. So for more details, how do people find out more details about the series?
So the best way to find out is just to go to our website, which is www.breakawaygm.com. And thank you. And at breakawaygm.com, it'll have highlights of all of the courses in the series. And this is just the start of it. We're going to have an implant course, a hands-on implant course in the spring. This is us just trying to develop the full dentist. And we just wanted to start with the business side first.
Awesome. All right, new dentists, those that have been practicing a little bit more than 5 years as well. Here is another
Mhm.
opportunity right? This is why we're in this profession called lifelong learning. It does not stop after dental school. It
Never
does not
stop.
stop,
Never
never
stops.
stops. Can't stop, won't stop, right? You can't afford your career, your family, and the people that we serve depend on your success. And that means also expanding your success, your ability to be successful from learning as well. So Doc, this has been very helpful. Thanks for sharing your story, and also giving us some tips on how to really get what you want, but also what some resources are to surround yourself with the right people, right? With people who have experiences, so that you don't have to necessarily repeat some of those experiences, good or bad, right?
Learn
You
from
want to
our
be able,
mistakes.
yeah, and you can learn them very quickly by surrounding yourself with individuals who have that experience, right? Have that experience of going through some challenges, so that you don't have to make the same ones. You will need to have some ups and downs, but not necessarily the same ones that take away a lot of time, because, or waste a lot of time, like you said, right? Because guess what? You cannot get that time back, but you can advance time somewhat better if you surround yourself with individuals and content and information that allows you to get attention faster, get the information faster, so that you can start sooner and make a longer impact down the line. So this has been great, Doc. Thanks so much for sharing it. And hey, guys, go to the next video. Go to the next video right now. Go.